analysis, EHA, is the only effective method used for measuring level and proportion of 27 chemical elements in your organism. Elements which have influence on functioning of all body systems. Their insufficiency, excess or imbalanced proportions may lead to disorder of your organism and as a result to a rising of very dangerous diseases. Order EHA kit at lifelinediag.eu. Fill the survey, take the sample of your hair and send it to our lab using the enclosed return envelope. After the studies are done, you will receive an individual panel patient code to check your test results online. We will send the information to a mobile number and email address that you provided during the survey. If you order a printed version, you will also receive an EHA results in a paper version. You can consult your EHA result with our dietary expert using the patient panel. Lifeline Diag, you're only a step away to live life.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Kindly confirm that you can hear me. That's great, thank you very much. So one more time, welcome. I'm Marcin Maciąg, CEO and co-owner in Lifeline Diag Laboratory. It's a great honor to have all of you here. A few words about our laboratory. We specialize in elemental hair analysis, as you can watch on this short video. So this is this kind of test which explain what is the level of elements in our body, how those levels affect to our health, and also what is the level of toxic elements in our body. So you can, using our test, you can get full information about the levels of elements in impacts to your health. One of our activities are also webinars for our customers, our followers. For those webinars, we invite experts from health area to explain different information about how we can take care of our health, of our bodies, of our minds. And I'm really happy that our today's host is our partner from Swiss, Alessandra Ginsburg, registered complementary medicine therapist and certified functional nutritionist. Alex helps her patients investigate and find the root causes of their symptoms and guides them through their healing journey with a holistic approach. To support her work, she uses stool testing and hair elemental analysis. She is our partner in Swiss, and she specializes in digestive problems, dysbiosis, gut permeability, microbiota, and weight loss resistance and maintenance. And topic for today's webinar is potential causes to weight loss resistance and the correct approach to weight loss. Alex, kindly join us. It's a great honor to have you here. Really happy to see you.
Hello, Marcin.
Hello.
Hi, good
How are you?
evening. Good morning, everyone.
Hello. So, okay, so please, the stage is yours. Let's start webinar.
Thank you. So you've introduced the subject and myself. I can directly start with the subject that is of interest tonight. So we have to understand that when we are trying to lose weight, there is often an inflammation situation in the body that needs to be addressed before trying to lose weight. So what I'm going to do tonight is try to explain to you the most important, the most common causes of inflammation, and those causes are the ones most often that impede your weight loss, so that are either slowing down the weight loss or actually totally blocking it. So it is an important factor that needs to be taken into account. In the second part of my presentation, I will give you solutions on how to address these types of inflammations. A last thing before we get on into the subject, you have to acknowledge that you have a set point, which is an inherent body weight that belongs to you. So we try and always aim at that set point and nothing under. The set point is the lowest weight that you've had during your adult life for the longest period of time. So for example, if your lowest weight point as an adult was around 70 kilos, there is an impossibility of reaching a lower weight. So you have to aim at something that corresponds to the set point or slightly above. Also, there is a metabolic rate that is proper to each one of us. Most of the European population has a metabolic rate that is low or slow, and there is also a respect for that towards the diet that we have. So according to your metabolic rate, you will have to also adapt a diet that is in conformity with your rate. Okay, so the first part, as I said, we will go through what are the main causes of inflammation that are related to weight gain. The second part, I will give you a few solutions. So let's start with the hormones. The hormones are chemical messengers in our body. They have an important role for the functioning of the body, as you know, and I have listed the main ones that interfere with weight loss. First of all, insulin and cortisol. They have counter effects in normal functioning of the body, which means that cortisol is a hormone that tends to transform with a neoglucogenesis, transform the fat that is stored in your liver into sugar and releases it in the blood. Insulin does the opposite. After we have eaten a meal, it actually takes away the blood from the sugar from the blood and stores it. When they are overexcited and overstimulated, and we have constant secretions of cortisol and or insulin throughout the day because of our lifestyle, because of the stress level, etc., this leads to inflammation. This inflammation leads to weight gain resistance, and it's a risk factor for diabetes. So these two hormones play a very important role and need to be addressed before trying to lose weight. Melatonin, you probably know that is the hormone that puts us to sleep. It is secreted by a gland in our brain, and it is also a very important antioxidant in our body, the most important antioxidant. So when we don't secrete properly melatonin because we have been working until late in front of a screen, etc., we will see this later in the presentation. Anyway, when we don't have sufficient secretion of melatonin, we don't sleep. This obviously leads into a form of stress in our body. Again, an inflammation, insulin resistance, impaired sleep, of course, and there is also the lack of the positive effect of the antioxidant into our body. So that's a very important hormone too, that they also needs to be regulated before we try to lose weight. Ghrelin and leptin are less known, probably. Those two are hormones that are secreted, and they actually, ghrelin is the hormone of hunger, and leptin is the hormone of satiety. So you want to be able to have a balanced secretion of both, and you want to be able to not to be still sensitive to leptin, to be able to understand that you have reached the state of satiety, and to have a good regulation of both of them. Again, when you have a lack of sleep, their secretion is disturbed. You would have a higher secretion of the hormone that it makes you feel hungry, and a decrease secretion of the hormone that keeps you this feeling of satiety. So obviously, when one has a disrupted night of sleep, wakes up with hunger, with craving, with a desire for sugar. So obviously, these two have an important role too. And finally, estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. Those are the sex hormones, and they need to be mentioned because in a life of a woman, when we reach the phase of perimenopause and we enter menopause, obviously there is the decrease of these hormones, and this is a slowdown of metabolism. So the energy that we burn is lower. In red in my slides, you will see that I've written the intervention plan that is related to the hormone imbalance. So here we would have to talk about detox, blood sugar balance, and work on sleep to be able to correct this type of inflammation. Next slide is sleep and stress. These two, as I've already mentioned briefly before with melatonin and cortisol, they absolutely have to be acknowledged and dealt with. I have a lot of patients that tend to underestimate them. They absolutely have to be really taken into account. You have to work on proper sleep. You have to have a regenerative sleep, because otherwise this will lead to weight gain. In fact, clinical studies have proven that when we have less than 6 hours of sleep per night, there is an increase in the BMI, so in the metabolic rate. So this is really an important factor that shows that people are more round or have a higher index when they sleep less. And this has been really proven by clinical studies. So it is important to sleep, to have a regenerative sleep, and to be able to detoxify during sleep, and to use also the antioxidant effect of melatonin. The second one is stress. Stress induces inflammation at all levels in your body, keeps us in a flight or fight situation. That means that the digestion is impaired. If digestion is impaired, it can lead to gas, bloating, malabsorption. It also has a negative impact on our microbiome, which we will talk about a little bit later tonight. And obviously, the stress leads into an increase of cortisol secretion. So that one too is, as we've seen before, leads to high blood sugar, to inflammation, to weight gain. So here, obviously, before trying to lose weight, you will have to try and manage your stress and work on better sleep patterns. Okay, the next one is diet and lifestyle. In the Western world, we have adopted lately, in the last 30, 40 years, what is called the standard American diet, which is high in carbs. It is food that is highly palatable, that we crave for easily. It's a huge amount of energy, and unfortunately, it's often nutrient deficient. And extremely inflammatory. So this is obviously something that one has to address and change that as a number one approach to losing weight. And really, the diet is a central part in our health, and we need to have a healthy diet to start reducing the inflammation in the body and then addressing weight loss. The wrong eating habits, that's under the title of lifestyle. I am thinking of situations in which we eat and work at the same time, in which we don't interrupt for having a meal. We don't take 10 minutes to really mindfully eat. We don't chew sufficiently in the mouth. We have the beginning of digestion through the mechanical chewing of the teeth and the chemical action of the enzymes in the saliva. So it is important to chew slowly, so that this digestion starts in the mouth. This will lead to a better absorption of what we're eating, and also of understanding and feeling and be sensitive to the leptin secretion, because leptin, as you remember, is the hormone of satiety. And after 15 minutes of when we've started eating, it is secreted by the stomach. So it will induce you into a situation in which you feel your satiety. If you gobble and eat fast your food and you're watching TV, you're on your phone, you're on the internet, or you're working like the lady in the picture, well, you're not sensitive to this secretion. You don't feel the satiety coming in. And we tend to eat much more, to also swallow a lot of air, with consequence of bloating, gas, malabsorption. So diet and lifestyle, absolutely important too, also a cause of huge inflammation. Okay, so now I've briefly mentioned before the microbiome. This is really a key thing in trying to lose weight. The microbiome, for those of you who don't know, is a host of living microorganisms. They're mainly in the large intestine and also a little bit in the small intestine. They're composed of bacteria, yeast, fungi, and also viruses. And they have a very important role in our health. It's ongoing. The studies are ongoing with the microbiome, and there are an amount of clinical studies that are published regularly and that are shedding light on new role of the microbiome. So it's something that we really need to address and take care of to have a nice weight, to be able to maintain our weight, and also a situation where the inflammation is as low as possible throughout our body. So the role of the microbiome, first of all, it helps digestion, bowel movement, absorption of the nutrients of your food, secretion of two vitamins, vitamin B and vitamin K, that have a very important anti-inflammatory role in our body. It strengthens the immune system and actually even educates the immune system when we are newborn. And also protects the gut lining of our gut, the gut lining. And because it occupies the space in our gut, it keeps the pathogens out. So it's like in a bus. If you're seated in a place, nobody else can take your place. So when you have the good microbiome in your gut, the pathogens, they have a harder time colonizing your gut. They also produce what is called short-chain fatty acids. These are compounds that are produced, metabolites that are produced from the fermentation of our fiber, from the fiber that we eat. And these compounds have also a very important role. I've listed it there. They also contribute to keeping the barrier of the gut impermeable, so very well sealed. They also contribute to the production of mucus. In your gut, we have what you see in the picture, this wall of cells that is purple, pink in the picture. And above that, you have a mucus layer. And on top of the mucus layers, you have the microbiome that is sitting on top of it. So our microbes, they help us have this thick, nice mucus layer that protects actually the wall of our gut. So it's very important also because it has an anti-inflammatory function. The microbiome regulate appetite, the fat burning and the fat storage in our bodies. So a fundamental role for us tonight. And finally, they also help regulate sleep. Now, the microbiome is a personal thing, just like a fingerprint is personal. Every one of us has a personal, individual microbiome profile. And it is influenced from day one of our birth until the end of our life by our habits, by the amount of water that we drink, by the diet, by the level of stress, by the amount of sleep, and also by our BMI. So again, we have to acknowledge now that it has been disclosed, the important role of the microbiome also in regulating our metabolism and our fat burning and fat storage. Just for you to have an idea, I put a chart from a clinical study. We don't see much, but you can distinguish. These are the names of the phyla, of the classes, of the genus, of the species of the microbiome. So you see it's like a tree and it develops. Now the chart stops at species. After this, you have strains, and there are 35,000 strains approximately. And each one of these strains has a specific function. So there's lots of work still that needs to be done to uncover everything, but progress is made. And just out of curiosity, our microbiome is made by 90% of the two phyla that are in the black square. so the bacteroidetes and the firmicutes. The rest of the 10% of our microbiome is composed by the other ones. So you can see proteobacteria, vertical microbia, etc. And I have circled in black one that is called Akkermansia municiphala, because this one in clinical studies, it has proven to have a positive effect on reducing weight in overweight people. There have been other studies with other strains like Lactobacilli gasseri, Rhamnosus, Plantarum. They also have had positive effects, a little bit more controversial results, but also positive effects in reducing the fat mass in people that are overweight. So we are not there yet at a point in which we, unfortunately, which we can simply supplement with Akkermansia municiphala and have a result in weight loss. This is only in clinical studies, but it has opened the door to potential future intervention with very specific strains to have an effect on the weight. But still, this proves that with appropriate dietary intervention and modulation, we can actually have a positive effect on our microbiota, and it is a very big ally that we have in managing weight and weight gain. Right. So just out of curiosity, I've added another chart because I thought it was very clear. Here you see how the profile of a microbiome between a group of people that are overweight and a control group that is not overweight, how they are different. So on the green side, you have the control group, people with normal weight. And on the right, you have the orange group of people that are overweight. And you can see that there is a larger diversity in the species that are listed on the green side. Because you have at the top of the chart a few some green, and you don't have anything in orange on the other side. So these are all species that the control group has and not the obese people. And you also see that at the end you have a really predominant 3 species on the orange side. So this shows that the profile of the microbiome in a person that is not overweight is different from the profile of people that are overweight. Again, it is an important discovery because we can modulate the microbiome to attain weight loss. With time, it's still a very interesting possibility. Also, what appears in this chart is that the profile of the person that is overweight has strains that are more inflammatory, so more inflammatory bacteria. I'm reading a comment. Yes, I will check that at the end of the presentation. Sorry, I got distracted. Okay, so last chapter on my list of things that are inflammatory for our bodies is the food sensitivities and the toxicity. So food sensitivities is not allergy. You would have a reaction to something that you're eating that is disturbing your digestion, that is leading to some kind of gas and bloating and things like that, but it's not extremely intense. And you keep eating the same food that is to whom you have a sensitivity, and it's still there is an ongoing inflammation in your gut. So this obviously leads to inflammation. This inflammation leads to a disrupted microbiota again. So you don't want to continue eating foods where you have sensitivities. If you're aware that eating some kind of food brings a different bowel movement, brings some bloating, some slows down digestion, maybe it's something that is actually inflammatory for you. And it has to be addressed before trying to lose weight. I've listed the most inflammatory foods for you on the slide so that you have them: gluten, dairy, sugar, eggs, nuts, corn, and soy. These are the most inflammatory. Doesn't mean that tomorrow you have to go on an elimination diet and take them all out at the same time. Not at all. It's just for you to reflect on it if there is some kind of sensitivity that can be inflammatory in your gut. Finally, toxicity. We are in a world that is toxic. We are surrounded by chemicals and heavy metals in what we eat, in the air we breathe, in the water that we drink, in the products that we use on our skin, makeup, hair dyes, the glue in furniture, etc. So this obviously is absorbed by the body. And if there is some type of inflammation, the body has a harder time detoxifying. So for this, can be something interesting to test, because the body stores these toxic materials that we have ingested and that have penetrated our body. They are stored in the adipose tissue. It's like a protection mechanism of the body. So it's a reservoir. So this reservoir and this storage happens in the adipose tissue, so in our fat. So sometimes when a person tries to lose weight and is incapable of losing weight, it's because the body is protecting itself from releasing the fat, because that would mean releasing also the toxicity into the other organs and into the blood, of course. So a hair mineral analysis and also organic acid test, which that checks if there are chemicals in the urine, can be a solution to try and figure out if that is potentially your case or not. So these were the things that I always try to assess before helping a client go into change diet and lifestyle and trying to lose weight, because they're all situations that bring inflammation. And if you have inflammation in your body, it is not going to be you're not going to be successful in trying to lose weight. All right, we are now in the second part of the presentation. What can we do to support our body and reduce inflammation? So first of all is obviously trying to support the gut and support digestion. How can we do that? First of all is shifting from a diet that is maybe more of the type of the standard American diet with processed or transformed food and pre-packed food and things that are frozen that you just can put in a microwave and heat up, and shift into a more clean diet, which is composed of nutrient-rich foods that are produced locally, that are organic, that are fresh, that are of the season, and obviously that are not processed. So really going back to the habits of choosing foods like our great-grandmothers were doing, with real food. You buy vegetables, you buy fruits, you buy proteins, and you prepare them at home. This is really rule number one to lower inflammation. Now, there are also foods that are more inflammatory than others. What does it mean? It means that foods have been classified according to how they impact your glycemic index, and they're classified on what amount of vitamins and minerals they have, and they can also if they are rich in omega-3 or not, etc. So the idea is not of only eating non-inflammatory foods, because that would be even exaggerated, is of trying to balance out a food that is more inflammatory with other foods that are less inflammatory. I've listed in a very broad way the most non-inflammatory foods. So obviously vegetables, nuts, legumes, so chickpeas, lentils, beans, green peas, those are legumes. Fatty fish is mackerel, anchovies, sardines, herring, salmon, these are fatty fish. And spices like cinnamon and oregano and curcumin, rosemary, basil, parsley, etc. These are the spices. So these are non-inflammatory food that have to be present in your meal daily, and that can counteract a little bit the more inflammatory foods. So the ones that I have not cited are cheese, for example, or meat, sugar, of course, simple carbs. So those are products from refined flour, bagel, white bread, etc. Those are more inflammatory. So when you're planning to have maybe a bagel, think of adding fatty fish, of adding vegetables, of adding healthy fats, so that you can counterbalance the inflammatory load of your bagel. Another important rule when you're trying to address inflammation in your body and trying to address also your weight loss resistance is to work on feeling hunger and satiety. I've mentioned before the two hormones, ghrelin and leptin. You have to wait till you feel that you're hungry before eating. I have clients that are kind of scared of feeling the hunger, and they even start eating before they feel this hunger and this need of food, just out of habit, just because they don't know what to do, or because food is become a comfort food. So you have to have a healthy relationship with food. Food is there to nourish you, to provide you with the nutrients that you need for and that your body needs to function properly. It's not for comfort. It can be once in a while, but it's not only for comfort. And really working on trying to feel hunger and to also feel the satiety that, as I said before, kicks in 15 minutes after we have started eating approximately. And to do this, it is mindfulness, it is no stress, it is calm, it's appreciating the food that you have in your plate, and try to restore what was a natural thing that we had before of feeling hungry, eating, and not being hungry anymore. Also, what is important is not to go on restriction. Of course, the basic idea of the energy intake and the energy expenditure with sports and is a mathematical calculations. The more you eat, the less you move, the more you gain weight. But it's not the solution to losing weight, because if it were, we wouldn't be having this type of problem today. So only limiting the efforts of trying to lose weight to reducing the caloric intake and increasing maybe the sport is really not a solution. It's not viable. It's not working. The intensity of a strong and a lot of physical activity brings inflammation too, and the reduction of caloric intake leads to frustration and cravings, and it is very hard to keep it up in the long term. So what you're aiming here is long-term measures to bring down inflammation, so that this will help you release and lose some weight. As I mentioned before, also check for sensitivities, because sensitivities bring inflammation, disrupt the microbiota, and the microbiota has a very important role in helping you lose weight. Bowel movement is fundamental. It has to be regular. It has to be daily, because if you don't have a daily bowel movement, it is very hard for you to excrete toxins and things that the body needs to get rid of. To have an idea of what a normal, good, healthy bowel movement should be, I can refer you to the Bristol stool chart. So Bristol, like the city in England, stool chart. You should be around the type of stool that is listed under number 3 or number 4. So that corresponds to a normal, healthy, daily bowel movement. And if this is not happening, then this is your first approach, is to try and work on that. And obviously, working on a bowel movement means you're eating more fiber, because that helps a lot. Eating vegetables, eating legumes, not being stressed, hydrating your body sufficiently, and also maybe supporting the microbiome with some type of supplementation, because the microbiome has a very central role also in the bowel movement. Okay, so the real action plan that you have to have when you want to lose weight is to act on your glycemic curve. What does it mean? It means that certain foods have a higher glycemic index than others. When a food has a high glycemic index, it means that it is absorbed and digested very rapidly by your body, and that the glycemic index, so the level, the quantity of sugar that enters your blood, is important. What we want to try and do is have the most constant glycemic curve throughout the day as possible. So obviously when you eat something, the glycemic index goes up because you've eaten something, you're digesting it, and the glucose is going into your blood. So we are secreting insulin that takes away the sugar from your blood and stores it in your cells. When you have a diet that has high glycemic index, like bagels, white pasta that is eaten on its own, or white bread, or muffins and cakes and things like that, these things have a high glycemic index. They are absorbed very fast by your body, and they raise very fast your sugar, your level of sugar in the blood. So this can't stay like this. You cannot have this level of sugar in your blood. You have the pancreas that secretes insulin, and insulin takes away, as I said before, the blood sugar. Now, when you keep having this type of diet every day, you start having spikes and crashes of insulin in your body, of sugar and insulin in your body. This leads to inflammation. It leads to storing fat. It leads to diabetes type 2 in the long run. And it also leads to a constant global inflammation. The pancreas eventually is overstimulated, works a lot during the day, and in the end, it will crash down. So to avoid and to give some release to the pancreas, some pause, and also in order to diminish the weight gain and to decrease the inflammation, you have to opt for a lower glycemic diet. So you have to go more on vegetables. If you eat fruits, it's preferably not too ripe with the skin. Opt for legumes and things that are digested less rapidly than a slice of white bread. Again, if you want white bread because you like it, you absolutely have to eat it with vegetables and fiber so that it is slowing down the absorption of the sugar into the blood. A few points that I've written on the slide. So first of all, choose low glycemic foods or medium glycemic foods. You can find that on Google easily. It's mainly fiber-rich foods. So always in every meal have fiber, have vegetables, have fruits, have legumes. And always add unsaturated fats like avocado, olive oil, and this type of things, and proteins, because fats and proteins are digested less rapidly. So when you have fiber and proteins and fats that are eaten with your carbohydrates, well, the sugar in the blood is absorbed more slowly, and this will help you keep a more stable glycemic curve. Secondly, you could also always have to start your meal with vegetable. That's a nice trick because, as I said before, vegetables have fiber. They slow down the absorption of sugar in the blood, and so they will help you keep your curve lower and more stable. So if you're going out to a restaurant, you can even have a salad or some, I don't know, broccoli, cauliflower at home. So that already starts slowing down the digestion. And the carbs that come after are not absorbed as fast because you have somehow clogged your digestion, your stomach, and what is happening in the stomach. So this is a trick to slow down and to diminish the glycemic curve. Another thing, again, respect the metabolic profile that you have. So the rate, most of us have a metabolic slow rate, which means to be really having a very large proportion of vegetables on your plate every meal. So like at least half of your plate should be full of vegetables. The rest, a little bit of proteins, because those make you feel satiety, and some healthy fats, always, because they're fundamental for your brain and for your cell membrane. And healthy fats don't make you fat, contrary to what was thought before 10, 15 years ago. Beware of smoothies. I have clients that think that a smoothie is a good option and a nice solution for breakfast. If you make a smoothie with vegetables and you add a few berries and you add some fats in there, like a spoon of peanut butter, that's a healthy smoothie. If you put mangoes, papayas, and I don't know, pineapple and berries and 3 apples and a banana, that's a huge amount of sugar. That's a huge quantity of fruit that if you were eating it, you wouldn't be able to eat as much because it's way too much. When you drink it, you can drink a bigger quantity of fruit. And that's a huge spike of sugar in your blood. So you don't want to start your day with a high spike in blood sugar, because that will perpetrate and continue throughout the day. So the breakfast should be salted, something like an egg and some avocado, whole grain slice and butter and cheese, something that is salted, that doesn't immediately spike your blood sugar level, and also that is a normal quantity. So beware of smoothies. With smoothies is that when you pass it through the machine, well, you're breaking down all the fiber. And the most important part of the fruit is the fiber, again, because it slows down its absorption in the blood. So these rules are really useful and really nice, and they will help you. If you respect them and you follow them, it will help you decrease your curve of the glycemic index. Now, a curve that is high and has been like that for years will take some time to flatten. So it's not going to take 1 month, it's going to take a few months at least to really try and flatten a little bit your curve. If you have a doubt on your curve, if it's really spiking or not, it depends on what you're eating. So if you're eating refined flour, pasta, white rice, fried foods, cakes and muffins, croissant, and things like that, then you probably you do have glycemic spikes and sugar spikes in your blood. Also, another indication that you have that is that after an hour and a half, you kind of feel tired because you've had this burst of energy eating your pasta, and then all of a sudden you're like sleepy, you have some kind of sleepiness after 1 hour. That's because the insulin has taken out your sugar from the blood, and your glycemic index is really low now, and you even feel like eating again. So these are easy indications that there is some work to do with in relation with the glycemic curve. All right, this was a very long slide. The next one, things to avoid. So again, don't go on restrictive calorie diets and things like that. There is not one solution fit for all, magic diet, magic pill, because it does not work. We would know otherwise. So avoid the diets, change your lifestyle habits rather. In the long term, small changes so that you can continue with them all throughout your life. It's not a parenthesis in a life. A healthy nutrition plan is something that you have to start today for the rest of your life. Don't skip meals. Skipping a meal does not make you lose weight at all. Makes you crave, maybe not the next meal, but the following day you certainly will start craving. Also, this leads to frustration and it lowers the metabolic rate. So alternating losing weight and gaining weight slows down your metabolic rate, and that you absolutely don't want, because it means that you would be burning less energy from the same amount of food eaten. And this type of thing, that one goes on a diet, loses some weight, and then gains again all of it, almost all of it. Next time you go again on a diet, you lose less weight, it's harder, and you gain more weight, and so on. It really slows down your metabolic rate, and it's really inflammatory for the body. It distorts your relationship to food. So it's really something that I need to warn you against. Again, don't drink your calories. Beware of sodas, fruit juices, smoothies, and all those alcohol and those sort of things, because they are full of sugar and they're not helping you in your weight management. Exercising is important. It's important not so much to lose weight, but to keep your muscle mass. When you want to lose weight, you want to lose your fat and not your muscle. So you do have to have a physical activity. Now, it is better to go swimming half an hour or walk in the woods for half an hour, or even in your neighborhood, rather than running on the treadmill for 2 hours. That is inflammatory. That raises your cortisol levels. And if you remember, the cortisol leads to inflammation, to hyperglycemia, because cortisol releases sugar in the blood to fuel your stress. So it is, again, something that goes against the objective of losing weight. So please don't kill yourself running or doing too much effort, because it will not help you lose weight. Also, there has been a Stanford study that has shown that the maximum of calorie burned are reached after 50 minutes of effort. And after, the curve goes dramatically down. So you might as well finish after and stopped after 50, 60 minutes rather than continuing for 2 hours, because there is no calorie burned. And after such a huge effort, we tend to crave and to be much more hungry. So much better to have a pleasant activity, physical activity, walking rapidly or swimming or something that you like, but not something that is inflammatory. Another important point is the mindset. Mindset has to be positive. You keep repeating yourself that it's not working, that you don't like your body, that you will never reach your goal, etc., is definitely totally counterproductive. So you have to shift your mindset, be positive, stimulate yourself, encourage yourself positively to put all the chances on your side to be successful. A word on keto, because maybe that's a question that you have. I don't recommend keto. It is recommended only for kids or adults that go through epileptic crisis. That really is an important dietary element, but not for people that don't have that kind of issue, because it is full of inflammatory foods, the keto diet. It can lead to deficiency in minerals or vitamins, and kidney stones are also a result of those type of foods that are very present in the keto diet. It's very restrictive. It is hard to stay in a ketogenic state. And finally, it can even lead to constipation, inflammation, etc. So really, the keto diet is also dangerous for your heart and your cardiometabolic health. So I really do not support it for weight loss. Okay, my last slide is all the other types of inflammation that we touched upon during the presentation. I mentioned the importance of sleep. So basic measures to improve your sleep are obviously work on your digestion, finish eating sufficiently early, because you want to go to bed when you have digested most of your food, but that your digestion is practically completed. The room has to be fresh and dark and silent. Your bed has to be used only for sleeping, not eating, watching TV, or studying and other things. It's a sanctuary only for sleeping. You have to respect your circadian rhythm. The body works on a circadian rhythm for sleep, for hormone secretion, for appetite. The microbiome also is regulated on a cycle. So this means going to bed at the same time approximately and waking up at the same time approximately too. Stop blue light a couple of hours before going to bed, because the blue light blocks and shuts down your pineal gland. And the pineal gland is in the middle of your brain, and it secretes melatonin. And melatonin is the hormone that helps you fall asleep, as we have seen, and it's a potent antioxidant. So blue light really shuts down this secretion, and it is very hard to fall asleep. So blue light 2 hours before falling asleep. And if you need, you can have some melatonin supplementation up to 3 grams if you have trouble falling asleep. So that's the basic main rules for sleep. Stress management. I have clients saying, oh, my life is like this, my job is like this, I cannot change that. And I hear you. Sometimes stress management can take only 5 minutes, like a breathing exercise. A very good one is the square belly breathing. Another one is cardiac coherence. You can Google it, cardiac coherence. It takes a few minutes, a few times a day. It calms you down. Journaling, meditation, yoga, and of course, eating mindfully are other options for you. Exercise, I mentioned it before. It has to be regular. It has to be non-inflammatory. So it has to be something to your level. It is possible to increase the metabolic rate with exercise, and this is those type of high intensity exercises. So you would do jumping on the spot or running as much as you can for a few minutes, and then walking and having something much more lighter and slower for another few minutes, and then again speeding up and then slowing down again a few times. That helps increase the metabolic rate, so obviously burning more energy. And that can something that you do it to your level, so it is something that can be interesting for everyone. Finally, detoxification for the sex hormone estrogen, for the heavy metals, for the medications that you take, etc. All this needs to be, this type of inflammation is addressed with proper detoxification. Now, detoxification happens in 5 organs in our body: the skin, the lungs, the kidneys, and also the stool, the gut. So obviously hydrating yourself a lot, sweating in a sauna can be an option. Dry brushing your hair is also something that helps. And especially, most of all, foods. I've listed them for you there, the ones that support liver detoxification. Bitter greens like arugula, chicory, Brussels sprouts, cruciferous or broccoli, and cauliflower, lemon and lemon zest, ginger, turmeric, those are the spices, rosemary, oregano, cinnamon. Black radish is excellent for detoxification. Jerusalem artichokes, garlic, and onion. These can be present in your diet, and they will support your liver to detoxify your hormones. If you're in a perimenopause moment, your heavy metals support the detoxification. If you've drinking alcohol, if you have taking medication, etc., they're really supportive of your liver. And the last thing that can help your liver is also fasting. Intermittent fasting means that you are interrupting what your food between the last meal and breakfast. So this can go up to 12, 14, even 16 hours according to your age and your state. It's not indicated for diabetic people. It's not indicated for people above 65 years of age. For pregnant women, not either. But otherwise, it's a very nice solution that helps break this weight loss resistance that you might be experiencing. So again, before starting an intermittent fasting, you have to go into it gradually, increase by half hour, by 15 minutes, week after week. And it is preferable also to do it with a health practitioner, so that you can be better advised on how to proceed. But intermittent fasting is something that puts your liver at rest with food, because you're not digesting, and the liver can detoxify metals or chemicals or drugs, etc., that have loaded up and that are slowing your metabolic rate again. Okay, so I've listed also my website, nutrition-therapy.ch, if you want to find more about me or if you want to reach out. I don't know if you have questions. I'm available to answer them. I'll check in the chat. So kindly share it will be recorded and shared on the website of the Lifeline Diag, so you can go back to it anytime and take screenshots, or you can reach out to me through my website. You will find my email, which is info@nutrition-therapy.ch, and I will be happy to share them with you. Is interval training or CrossFit okay? Yes. That's what I was saying. CrossFit, it depends on your level of muscles and capacity. It can be extremely inflammatory for a person, CrossFit. For someone else that is more trained, it can be fine. Exercise is really something that is proportional to your level of training. So if you have pleasure, if you feel good after and during the training, it's fine. If you're sweating, you're at the end of your life because it's too strong, it's too much, and you get out of there with a red face, totally inflamed, that is definitely not good. Again, 50 to 60 minutes is more than enough. Don't go above that because you will not have the necessary results. It does not increase, the calories burned don't increase gradually. They just kind of reach a level and drop after. Interval training, that's a high intensity interval thing, that's great. And even if one has a lower level of training, it works because, well, we would do an intensity activity for 2 minutes instead of 5, and then stop and continue a much lighter training, and then again a little bit of intensity, and again a rest period where you still move but at a much lower pace. So that's good. And even 10 to 15 minutes of high interval training are sufficient. I don't know if there are other questions. I don't see any other in the chat. We are almost at the end of the hour, but I'm happy to answer other things if somebody wants to write. In any case, from all of this, please remember that there is a list of priority in addressing weight loss. You have to address the inflammation and things that are there present in order to have a successful weight loss program. Otherwise, if you don't address your microbiota, you don't address your detoxification, you don't address your hormone imbalance, it will be you will not have the results that you're expecting. Welcome, everyone, and have a nice evening. I think Marcin will be back online to interrupt the recording.
Thank you very much, Alex. It was great pleasure to have you here today. Thank you for your webinar, for a lot of very valuable information. I'm sure it's very helpful for all of us. And as Alex said, the webinar will be available on our website, so feel free to get back and watch again to notes all the important points. Thank you very much. See you on our next
Welcome, my
webinar.
pleasure. See you soon. Goodbye.
Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Here. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.